Hello everyone, Magdalena here, Wealth of Coins. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been seeing a lot of videos about top 2018 decks, and the last one I saw was Jennifer Ball's Spiritual Garage. Hi Jen. So and it inspired me. This last one, I just felt like, yeah, I should figure out what my 2018 favorite or top decks were. But I thought it a very difficult task. So I decided to take my tarot journal, which is this one. It actually broke a bit. So yeah, I bought it in Edinburgh Castle, and it has gilded edges. How cool is that? Anyway, I took this and I simply counted how many times in 2018 I have used each deck, because I usually record all of my tarot readings, usually in this notebook, and then I could just, write down write a line for each usage of the deck. And this way I also learned, because the image I had in my head was not exactly the same as it turned out on paper. So it was an interesting experience. So I counted my tarot, oracle, and as for Lenormand, I did not count. I have a separate Lenormand notebook, but I just picked 3 decks that I remember using the most, and that's it. So yeah, so let's start with tarot. I would say, and also, I saw, that's why I decided I cannot trust my memory, because I have phases of using some decks more, some decks less, and at the beginning of the year there were other decks I preferred, and now I not also got new decks, so I was using them, So I wrote it all down, and one of the top decks that I've been using simply the most, which means I like it, I like to read with it, right, is the Steampunk Tarot. My edition is the Czech version. So yeah, this guidebook is in Czech, but I also bought an app, and there's a whole guidebook in English there, so I don't mind. And as for the names, well, first of all, it's pretty easy to realize what card this is, and also it's Czech. I'm Polish. I can manage, really. But the guidebook is less comfortable, because whole sentences, But anyway, this is a beautiful deck. Again, it's by Barbara Moore and illustrated by Ali Fell. And if you've been watching my channel, you've seen this deck pretty much recently, I'd say. There are the famous copper gilding edges, and yeah, it's a Rider-Waite-Smith style deck, of course, with some variations here. As you can see, this is the Death card. So I had a really good time using this deck, especially around late autumn and early winter. Isn't it gorgeous? It's just gorgeous. And it has this cool box. Whee! So yeah, this was one of my most used decks this last year. Other than that, surprise, surprise, no surprise. Tarot de Marcella by Pablo Robledo. I've etched it myself. So it's, I believe I used the antique linen. Maybe I even have it somewhere Yeah, now I won't find it probably. Yeah, I used those ink pads, and there was this antique linen. Goodness, ink. Sorry, it's an evening and today I really was very sleepy. So yeah, this is one of my favorite decks ever. If I were to pick only one, if I, you know, were going to Lone Island or wherever and I was allowed only one deck, I think I would take this one. Just because it's so beautiful, it speaks to me. The size is perfect, the card slot is perfect. I'm repeating myself because, yeah, I've talked a lot about this deck anyway. And I love the box, by the way. So this is it. Then another tarot deck I really used a lot, I fell in love with, was the Stretch Tarot. And it's like, it's a collage deck that has some Rider-Waite-Smith characteristics and some Thoth characteristics, because I realized that these keywords are closely related to the Thoth deck, actually. So, yeah, this is the back. Will I show you the Steampunk Tarot back? This is it. So you see, Steampunk Tarot Czech edition is a bit bigger than your regular tarot size. So this is a gorgeous deck. A little bit, some people might say dark, but at the same time very beautiful. As I said, there are those keywords on all cards except the major arcana. There's the Hierophant with keys and the lock. So yeah, and what's interesting about this deck, it was made not on the computer, it's handmade in a way that, yeah, there are real burnt matches put on this picture. And these are probably drawn by a ball pen or something. So this is interesting. It's not photo manipulation, or maybe there is some, but mostly it's done by hand. So here you can see this thread. There was a real thread pulled through the paper. It's a gorgeous deck. It's a great reader for me. I know that Gracie from the Modern Unicorn really loves this deck, and I don't blame her because it's just wonderful. And I like the cardstock, except for the fact that it's starting to bend backwards somehow. I don't know why. It makes shuffling a little bit less pleasant, but still, I love this deck. So this is the Stretch Tarot. I have the second edition. I believe in the third edition you get an additional magician card, a female, but I have only one magician. Well, but that's okay. That's okay. So these are the tarot decks that I used the most, and I also wanted to mention these two. Wow, sorry. See these beads? They just bumped into my teacup. So yeah, I have I have special type of, well, how to say it, the way I use decks. At some point I started, and it was November, I believe, I selected one deck to be used only for my daily draws, like communicating with the divine on a daily basis, let's say. So for some time, and I wanted it to be a deck that feels warm and nurturing. So the first deck I selected was this deck. It's my first deck ever. If you're curious about it, I have a walkthrough of this deck as the Polish Tarot or Jaśniak Tarot. And it's just that. It makes me happy. It's colorful and warm, and I used it almost every day for a month and a half or something. And then I switched to the CBD Tarot. So the Conver Restoration by Yoav Ben-Dov. It's also, it's a really beautiful deck with clean, crisp lines and faces that are made friendlier than your regular Tarot de Marseille frown face, which I have nothing against, but in this case, as I said, I wanted a deck that would be warm and nurturing and welcoming. I thought that these smiling faces would be a good idea, a good pick. And it is. I've been using this through, I think, whole of December, and I'm still using it. It's not like every day, because I don't, surprisingly, I don't have time every day for tarot. I wish I did, but yeah, this is my deck for those like everyday readings. And now maybe I'll quickly show you my Lenormand picks. So this is one of my most favorite decks. It's the French Cartomancy. And it's a very beautiful and classical deck. It's the same as the deck that Rana George used through most of her Lenormand career. And yeah, as you can see, these are very beautiful, classic looking images. And it's published by Los Carabeo. So these are a little tiny bit bigger than your regular Lenormand, but I still like to use them. This is for comparison, this is your regular tarot size. So the width is similar, but it's smaller. Mostly Lenormand cards have to be small, because if you do the Grand Tableau, you need to lay out all of the cards, and if you used cards like this, you would need a really big floor or table, huge table. So anyway, I love it. It's so, I don't know, calming in a way. It just is. So yeah, this was one of my most used Lenormand decks. Then other than that, I really love, and I keep it in this is actually a match box, but for like bigger matches, and it fits perfectly the size of this deck. It's Rana George's Lenormand with these flashy numbers and frames. It's a gorgeous, colorful deck, and it is smaller. You can see. Wait a minute. So for Grand Tableau, I never use this deck because it's too big. I've made Grand Tableau board for myself, and I wouldn't have space for larger cards anyway. So yeah. So this is one of them. And yeah, this is the back. Woohoo! Awesome. Look at that. It's a very happy deck. Woo! Excuse me. But I'm not using, she added some extra cards. I'm not using them. Maybe in the future I will, but for the time being, I'm just sticking to 36 cards. Then, oh, this is also a matchbox. I just pasted pictures from the tag box that this came in. This is, as you can see, Lenormand Oracle cards, and these are without the images of playing cards, because on these two that I showed you, you always have the playing card inset, but here there are none. And I also trimmed it, and I think it looks amazing. Beautiful. And it's a very handy deck for me. I just always have it laying like on top of other decks, so I just can grab it and quickly shuffle and read if I have an urgent question for the deck. So this is how it looks from... It's a very similar back to this one. Oh, come on. See? I mean, it's just different colors. So again, this is also very classical. I've seen around decks with the same images, but with the playing card instead. You can also tell when you look really closely that they had to make some background here. So probably originally the playing cards were here. And see here, it's added. Can I show you some other examples? Sometimes it's very visible, like here. Can you see this smudge? So it didn't delight me when I realized it is like that. But actually, when I'm reading with this deck, I don't see it. I just don't mind. I don't care. So yeah, this is the Lenormand Oracle cards deck. I believe it's also Los Scarabeo. Very classical looking. And I like to read with it, so. And now, Oracle decks. So the winner is definitely Vintage Wisdom Oracle. I used it the most from all of my Oracle decks. This is how I edged it. I love it. This is a deck that is really, it really speaks to my soul. And together with the guidebook. The guidebook is just right for me. I mean, it's enough there, but not too much, so you don't read pages and pages of descriptions and very in-depth interpretations. No, you have enough for your intuition to go on. And also gorgeous. Gorgeous! Yeah, so this is one of my most used and most beloved decks. You can tell that even though I used it a lot, there is no chipping. It's great card stock. What is it? Is it US Games? Yes, it is US Games. So no complaints whatsoever. Beautiful, wonderful decks. However, I heard people saying that they couldn't connect with it, so it depends. It really, you know, we are all individual human beings, so to some people it speaks, to some it doesn't, and that's it, right? But for me, it was great. Another one would be, oh yeah, on the second place, and it actually surprised me. I have this tiny, tiny little pouch here. It was Kamienie Wróżą. It's a Polish crystal oracle deck. It's a tiny deck, but it has beautiful artwork. This is the back. You can see how small it is. Small. Even smaller than the Lenormand cards or similar. Wait a minute, let's see. This is Runner Georges. Yeah, well, they're more or less the same. Maybe this one is wider and this one is a little bit taller, but it's almost the same. So for an Oracle deck, these are tiny cards, and if you are curious, I suppose it's still available on eBay here and there. Shouldn't be expensive at all. And there is a English translation of the little white book. So yeah, it's gorgeous, magnetite, right? Heliotrope. Oh, it's gorgeous. It doesn't show the crystals themselves, but a kind of like an impression of them, how the energy can feel like. And look at the colors. Oh my god, this is so amazing. And it shows the colors of the crystals themselves. So it's hematite, carniol. Yeah, it's great. It's great, and interpretations here are very short. So we have the upright and reversed meaning. We get zodiac signs associated with the crystal and the planet, and that's that. So surprisingly, I didn't realize how much I actually used this deck. Maybe because I used it more in the first half of the year, but still, the result surprised me that I used it so much. Another one would be this deck. I remember myself wondering whether I should be getting it because I wasn't sure if it's a deck for me. Also because the artwork is digital, and I usually am pretty analog with art. However, I don't regret getting this deck. The images are gorgeous. They're beautiful. The guidebook is good too. So, and it's by Blue Angel, and it's Angela Hartfield, and artwork by Katerina Golovanova. So, this deck has been... I think I will make a video about how I use oracles, because I have, like, in my mind, I have categories for oracles, and this oracle is more of a, like, an advice type. So I usually pull one card from this deck at the end of some readings to sum it up or get advice, simply. So this is Whispers of Lord Ganesha. And lastly, my beautiful Oracle of Mystical Moments. I've heard that Catherine Weltstein is working on a tarot deck, and when I imagine this deck together with a tarot deck, it's gonna be just too beautiful to be true. But yeah, I think I will get it, unless it's horribly expensive, but fingers crossed it's not. This one was mass market, so again, US Games. So yeah, it's such a gorgeous deck. Plus, it really reads well, but it's not... I don't use it as an advice type. I use it as like paired with tarot. I'm thinking about making a video how I combine tarot and oracle, and then I could talk about it more in detail. But yeah, I just love it. Except for this card. This is a creepy baby jellyfish. But other than that, it's just... yeah, it's just gorgeous, and the images give a lot to your imagination, plus you get some not too lengthy description for each card. So yeah, these were my top 2018 decks. Let me know what you think. Did you like any of your top decks would be some of these or not. And have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.